Hi, today is March 24th, 2022, and we are at Brown Cemetery in Nile Township, Scioto County, Ohio. And we are brought out today to visit this cemetery, which is located on private property, partially on private property, and partially on property owned by the state of Ohio. And Brown Cemetery is recorded in the WPA record for Scioto County for veterans burials, and it's been previously recorded as not located by the Scioto County chapter of the Ohio Genealogical Society. We're going to walk over from private property, which we were just on, and start on state property, which is furthest away from the entry point. Now, I say entry point, the modern entry. So originally the entry for this would, in the background, you can see a saddle that circles down the hillside. So you would walk the ridgeline down to the bottom where there was a church located off of McGraw Road, Upper Twin, also known as Brushy. So right near that intersection was a church. And they would have came up and around the hillside and then across the saddle. And this would have been, where their cemetery would have been on high ground. Now, speaking with local Brian Richards, who was kind enough to bring us up here today, we've learned that the cemetery has been maintained by locals when the resident property owner was alive. Since that time, it's not really known who has maintained or if it has been maintained, but it being springtime, it's in pretty good shape. Green briars here and there, but that's pretty typical for these rural cemeteries. Despite it being rural, it's well laid out. We have multiple rows that are on an east to west axis, and here we have headstone footstone combination. So we have local field stones that are taken out. Some of them are inscribed, some of them are so light that they can't even be read anymore, such as this one, but you can see that they've been etched. And then we have these reconstructed ones. We have Riley Blevins, born, I believe that's a 5, and then dash 1847. Mary Blevins, born 1-1853. And then we have like this little offset here. So a separate family. This is the McGraw family. Baby Bertha McGraw, born 1895. I believe that says maybe aged 5 months. We have baby Jimmy McGraw, born February 23rd, 1894. Died June 27th, 1894. Come across further, Henry McGraw, born June 1865, died 1908. And then Molly McGraw, born April 1872, died 1904. A little bit further over, on the very end of this row, we have Minerva Lewis, who was born November 20th, 1899, and died November 27th, 1915. Relatively young. We look further down the hillside, don't see any indications of additional burials on this row. But we'll come about to the back side here, and we can see some of the improvements that were made over time. So these are most likely the original markers. You have these slender vertical slabs that have been hand carved with the same names. Then we also have some later, maybe for flowers. It looks like coffee cans have been filled with styrofoam to mark the graves, which is a huge help for researchers, mostly because in springtime and in the fall we can locate these because of the leaf cover. Shorter markers are hard to identify. So this is just a back view of this. Take a little bit more close up. We can see how those are hand carved. And that continues on for this entire row. Now, if we look up here, we have another row. And that one we've taken closer pictures, but there hasn't been another marker set for it. That's the original marker. That row continues. We have footstone, and then over into the Greenbrier, I believe there are 4 more graves. So we're on our second row. We come up, so we're kind of on the center aisle. We look to the right towards state property and see no indications of additional graves. We have this rock here that may be local, may just be not a headstone, because we have none on our end line here. We go up 6 more feet, 2 good steps, and we return to that headstone footstone combination. We can see that here with this upright stone. And I look 8 feet this way, we have that repeated. We come 6 feet to the right or to the left, and we have another upright stone. And there in the Greenbrier, there's another. And off in the distance, you can kind of see between these 2 trees here, there's another headstone footstone combination. So we walk up past this one. Oh, sun's hitting just perfect. We look like we get maybe some carving right there on top. You can kind of make it out where that's been etched. So the sun came out just right time. So there's only one known veteran burial here, but it wasn't annotated that they had a veteran's marker. We'll have to go back and see what that name is and put it in comments. It obviously wasn't known that it was a veteran's burial from a marker being here. It would have been known as a veteran's burial, most likely as reported by a local or reported by, a death register. Standing out of my own shadow here. Here we have an upright marker, no good carvings on it, but we can see some grave cavitation. We come further this way, we have a big gap, which may just be a burial without a head marker, footstone. And then we have headstone there, and no footstone. And we have a headstone here, no footstone. We have a headstone here, and footstone here, relatively short, so we can kind of surmise maybe a youth burial. And then here, headstone, and a footstone right there in the center of the frame. And one more headstone, and then right under the bend of that tree is a footstone, again a shorter burial. And then here to the right we have a more contemporary burial for Tom, who was a local artist and writer and just a great person that's no longer with us, and he's buried here as well. We're going to move up towards the road just to see if we see any additional burials that we might have missed on the way in. If you were in this area and just walking, you would, without the improvements that have been made over time, you wouldn't even notice that there was a cemetery here. There's no clear vegetation or tall marble markers. All this really just blends in with the background. So again, we are at Brown Cemetery in Nile Township, Scioto County, Ohio, and on private property. That also bridges into Ohio-owned property. So this cemetery has been previously undocumented for accuracy, and hopefully with this video and our pictures we'll be able to rectify that and document the people who lived and who are buried here. Thanks.